Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry. If you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, or if Corey scared you off, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still be posted each week, so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. We are brought to you by the wonderful Stella Mix Podcast Management and our producer and editor, Miss Janine. Stella. Gentlemen, good evening. Happy beginning of December. Let's start with Corey. How are you tonight, sir? Big win for your boys yesterday. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm good. This is week 42 of doing this with you guys, but no one's counting. Yeah, dude, Eagles won.
43.
43?
Like 43 years.
Tonight,
Oh, it is
tonight's 43.
Damn it.
I'm
Not
counting.
getting anything right. But Eagles won. That was a game to win. That was a really good game for us to win. But you know, we'll see. I think they're solidified their position in the Super Bowl conversation for any doubters. So that's nice.
There can't be any doubters. I'm sure there's none.
You were the biggest Eagles doubter, like when the game started.
Because I don't like to look stupid.
Every week.
Every single week, whenever they make one bad play.
I don't like to look stupid. So
did you know that statistically, they're the worst first quarter team in terms of points scored in the whole league?
That's for sure.
So that explains why. Yeah.
Based off the mentality, Corey, if you ever gambled, you'd be like the most degenerate gambler of all time, I think.
I don't know.
Just the emotion, the range of emotions that we go through in that thread during the Eagles game.
That's why I don't gamble.
Yes.
I do everything on my emotions.
I'll tell you what, though, it's gotten really freaking boring texting you guys because you don't even entertain.
Because I know what you're gonna do.
You're supposed to like text back, and I don't know.
You need some new material. It's always the same wave. It's like it's down.
Not
at
a
the
gimmick.
beginning.
I'm just going through it.
Okay. See, we know Greg's routine too. So Greg, every week it's all the way till Thursday. The Browns suck. He understands. He's fully aware of everything. Friday, you get the little crumb of delusion begins to breed deep inside of himself. Saturday, he musters up a little courage. Sunday morning, he's talking shit for the Browns. Next thing you know, no Super Bowls.
Correct,
Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
Correct. But I'm a pro at it at this point. I've been doing it for as long as I can remember. So,
But we love it.
mm-hmm.
Sorry, we're gonna go. What is it? 13-4. I think we're gonna go 13-4 and get bounced.
So you're going to lose two more
Eagles
games?
fashion.
Who are you losing to? Because you called losing to the
Steelers.
Ravens.
I think we're gonna lose to the Steelers. Although I didn't just say that, Bill. But
Yeah,
that is one of my
My
Fuel his
man.
I know. I hate to say. Well, I don't know. You know, I thought we were gonna lose last night. Honestly, like truly, like I predicted my stuff like whenever towards the beginning of the season. Steelers. Oh, and Commanders. I think the next time because we're gonna be away, so I think we're gonna lose the Commanders.
Yeah.
Those are the two I think we're gonna lose.
I don't trust the Ravens right now. Something's missing.
I'll tell you exactly what's missing. The best fucking field goal kicker in the league. That's what's missing. That dude keeps shanking balls.
Yeah, that's bad. But last night, I mean, yeah, it might have changed the complexion of the game, but it wouldn't have, just from a sheer points perspective, unlike the Pittsburgh game, those missed field goals wouldn't have put us in the lead, unlike the Pittsburgh game. But again, that could change the whole.
Didn't he miss? Didn't he leave like 7?
7 last night and 6 the Steelers game or whatever it was.
I will say this, Corey.
7, I think.
He missed 7 field goals in one game?
No, points.
No, 7 points.
Oh, 7 points. Oh, so 2 field goals in a single.
I will say that my brother-in-law and my wife are like, get rid of him, and I'm like, yo, dude, this guy's been legitimately he'll figure it out. I have faith.
Well, a big thing with the kicker is their confidence. So
That's what I mean. I think
once the confidence is broken, there's kickers that have been really good. Jeff Reed comes to mind. There's a few other ones that when the confidence is broken, it's tough to come back as a kicker. What's the guy's name? Ray Finkel from Ace Ventura. laces out, Greg.
Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is Finkel.
Yeah.
Greg,
If
Greg-
Finkel is a man, or was
What were you gonna
whatever,
say,
you
Greg?
kissed a man. basically.
Well, I was gonna say, what do you guys think about just the absolute monster season Saquon's putting together? I mean, the guy's on pace
Crazy.
to
Hold on.
break Eric
Let me.
Dickerson's record.
I have some thoughts on that. I don't know if you guys want me to go first or wait, but I have a couple thoughts. I did some. You want me to go first?
Sure.
I think so too. And you guys, I'm not an Eagles fan. I despise the Eagles. So for me to but I give credit where credit's due. You guys are playing really good right now. You look solid, the whole team, defense included. I did some comparing last night. Saquon and Derrick Henry's stats are almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
But does it not feel like Saquon is having a way bigger season?
Well, the thing is everybody has been real hard on Derrick Henry for 2 weeks because he's had 2 mediocre games back to back, but it's mediocre in terms of what he's put together all season long, which is literally scoring a minimum of 1 touchdown per game for the first 11 games.
So to that point, 3 weeks ago, Noah, 3 weeks ago, his total yards were actually more than Saquon's, right?
Yeah.
As of yesterday, and I don't know if they updated after last night's game, so I can't say that yet. But it was like Saquon was just under 1,400 total yards. It was like 1,392, and Derrick Henry was at like 317. So less than 100 yards total yards between them. Derrick Henry's got 3 fumbles. Saquon's only got 1. And then I looked at like some of the others. They're almost identical, but it feels like Saquon is having the eye test
because Saquon's meant a lot more to the team, I think, this year.
Because so that's my question. Is it only because the Eagles have won a few of those games that it seems like that, and the
Saquon is making the case for being. Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but Saquon is making the case for being the first running back since AP to get the MVP. I mean, that's how important he is to that team. So, and the fact that, a lot of people, myself included, during times have said, oh, Saquon Barkley had 1 amazing season followed by some mediocre ones, and then a lot of injury. Guy can't stay healthy, yada, yada, yada. And then he comes to Philadelphia, and in his first season is just taking the league back by storm, reminding everybody who he was to begin with. So
let me ask this question, because I think this is an intriguing question. Take Saquon off the Eagles, and they have a worse record, right?
Okay, so
just a
worse record than they do. They have, let's say,
they lose a few games. Yeah,
2 or 3 more losses, right? They have roughly 5 losses, maybe instead of 2. Take Derrick Henry off the Ravens. I still think the Ravens have the same or a very similar record.
Right.
Yeah, but
which is that's a weird.
You could put me in there at running back, and they'd have the same record.
Yeah, I mean, and Lamar's production as a runner has tapered off a little bit with Henry, but it's because Henry's a beast. You know what I'm saying? Like in comparison to guys like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, who couldn't stay healthy at all, Derrick Henry's a huge upgrade over that. So yeah, I mean,
so
I don't know.
I have a question because I don't know what I'm really looking at that much, admittedly, when I'm watching a football game. Do you guys think, I was wondering this yesterday, like, it might be kind of obvious, but with Saquon balling out like he's doing, like, how much is that taking away from, like, A.J. Brown? You know what I mean? Well, which I'm not complaining. I'm just asking.
Nobody's arguing that A.J. or Devonta Smith are grade A receivers. I don't think that's in question at all. Are they getting less touches? Are they getting less numbers? Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Right. But that's how the Eagles win, though. They run the ball, and
I would maybe argue not, Greg, because like you had what's her name, DeAndre Swift, who was really good. Maybe not putting up Saquon numbers, but he was really good as well.
Any team that has their offense stacked the way that the Ravens do, is a threat to score in any, you got Lamar, you got Derrick Henry, you got the receivers. Same thing with Philly. You've got Jalen Hurts that can run the football. You've got Saquon that can run and catch. You know what I'm saying? And then you have 2 stud wide receivers.
Except for that one game he dropped the ball. But
it's the same analogy as basketball. You know what I'm saying? It's the ball can only go through the hoop so many times. You know what I'm saying? So there's going to be certain nights where people show up and. But
I think that's what
dictates the flow.
I think that's what makes a great team, though. And again, as much as I hate to say it, I do think you guys are like a really, I can't say great. I'm sorry. I just can't bring myself to do it, Corey. I apologize. Are a really good team, but also everyone's willing to sacrifice that little bit for the trophy, right? I think that's important. Unlike, the stinky New York Jets, where everything's centered around one person who's not that good.
Well, it's easy to be that way when everyone's winning. It's pretty hard to complain when everyone's winning. Lose a few games or get knocked out of the playoffs and see how people feel then, because that's when people start going nuts and getting selfish. I don't get the ball enough.
Like Stephon Diggs last year in Buffalo and all that.
Antonio Brown. I mean, that's when it happens.
Well, he's a head case though. Let's be honest.
No, I mean the original AB problems, like before that, even it was a playoff loss, and he freaked out because he didn't have like 20 targets in the game. It's like, dude, okay.
Which AJ Brown did that a little bit last year. The prima donna behavior. So
allegedly, yeah.
The Eagles are playing really tough again. Like last year, that second,
that's true.
They were like getting pushed off the ball. They are tough as
they have an identity.
What I will say, and at the end of the day, I think this is all that matters is like let it come down to the Lions and the Eagles in the NFC Championship, and let's see how your defense holds up, big boy.
Our defense is playing great, but I know. I agree.
He's saying against a prolific offense. Yeah.
The Lions will be our problem.
They are the team to beat in the NFC right now.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal.
We have already talked about the Philadelphia Eagles way too long on this podcast.
We could go another few minutes, I'm sure.
We got to give Bill the obligatory good win yesterday. Bill, Steelers look having Justin Fields as that running weapon, like in that. That's a big threat. That's a big threat. So kudos to you guys. Defense always looks great.
I feel like that you're really just taking away from the rest of the team with that.
No, I mean it. Like Russell Wilson is not making that last first down run. He's not. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's just a great ball club. I mean,
sure.
We have an identity. We have a purpose. We're ridden in steel and on the defense. I mean, we come off that edge. I mean, we fly around the ball. We're rough. We've got Joey Porter punching people. We've got George Pickens punching people. Mike Tomlin might punch somebody. You never know.
Mike Tomlin might punch George Pickens, actually, but
that's okay, though. At least he's punching somebody. So, yeah, it's a good team. I mean, if you guys played the receipts back, I called it. So, it's okay.
We've never doubted your affinity for your own team, Bill. Good job.
I also thought the Pirates would be good too, but
you had one good player on the Pirates.
But yeah.
How about this real quick? Not to take the glory away from Bill and the Steelers because they played.
Take it away.
But
take it away.
How about the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow specifically? In 5 games this year, he's passed for 300 yards and 3 TDs. Each one of those games, they scored over 30 points and lost all 5
because their defense stinks.
It's terrible.
They don't have an identity.
And Zach Taylor is a fraud.
Yeah,
I don't think he's that good of a coach. Yeah, I really don't.
He's done. He'll be fired.
They should have never let Joe Mixon walk.
Correct.
That was a humongous mistake.
Correct.
They didn't use him correctly though.
I don't care, dude. The guy.
No, I know.
The guy.
At least you open up. Yeah, and not only is he reliable, but if you have an actual threat to run the ball, you open up the pass game. Now everybody knows what they're going to do, and they're still kind of doing it, that is kind of the amazing part.
Absolutely.
They're still throwing the ball up to T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Take him away. I can't stand him. Defense stinks. Defense wins big games.
That's right.
It does. That's what concerns me about the Ravens. That's what concerns me about my own Commanders. I think we're obviously a year or two away. I'm just saying in general, like we've showed flashes of it, but it just, so.
It's kind of weird. How come the 49ers suck now?
They've been riddled with injury. Like,
did you guys see Kyle Shanahan yesterday? The guy looks like he's 70 years old. He looks like he just crawled out of a strip club at like,
now, some of it might have been the white snow on his beard making it look worse, but he did. I noticed that too.
He aged about 10 years in one.
The 49ers have been riddled with injury, which isn't necessarily that different from any other year because a lot of years they are, but personally, I think that whole brilliant Shanahan offense, I think teams are just starting to figure it out a little more. I mean, last night could be somewhat of an anomaly too. It was like dumping snow, you know, and your
That's
best, and your
football,
best.
whether-
No. I'm not saying it's not. I just mean, like, you're going to get what? Maybe a team in San Francisco is going to get maybe 1-2 max of those games a year, and one's probably going to be in the playoffs. So I think they've been riddled with injury. I think Purdy might not be that great. He does not make great decisions. Like, I'm a Purdy fan. That pick he threw in the first half, like, it was such a bad throw. Like, no way. You scrambled around for 5 seconds. You turn around and just fling the, like, I don't know. He might be a fraud.
Yeah.
He might be.
I don't think he's a fraud per se. I just don't. I think, like you said, like they had one really good
figuring it out.
year.
Yeah.
The NFC wasn't the strongest when they had the good year, you know, and people are figuring out Brock Purdy.
Dude, I will not take this Brock Purdy slander. I know he was a fraud. Lamar Jackson, that dude is never going to win a Super Bowl, Sean. By the way, you're talking about your Ravens. They've peaked. They're heading down. This is going to end in Harbaugh being fired in 2 to 3 years of a slow rebuild. You might as well blow it all up right now. So that's the real fraud.
Wow.
That was harsh, dude.
Just saying.
I already went on record saying I don't trust
Lamar.
the
Everybody throws roses at this guy's feet. He's never going to win a Super Bowl.
No, nobody's. Never is a.
Never.
That's a pretty absolute
He's
term.
a 2-time
Never
MVP.
ever.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a better quarterback than Brock Purdy, hands down.
Yeah.
But I think
Quarterback or running back?
quarterback. He's
You think
definitely
that
a better
Lamar
overall
makes
quarterback.
better pocket decisions than
They
Brock
both
Purdy?
make shitty pocket decisions.
Brock
but
Purdy
Lamar
has
has-
7th round draft pick that took his team to the further than what's his name ever has taken any team.
Well, okay, you're right. He did take him to a Super Bowl. I was gonna say he
A
lost in the
healthy-
NFC Championship.
A healthy CMC played a huge role in that.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Didn't they like snap? Didn't they direct snap him the ball half of that game, anyways?
Did he just get hurt again?
Brock Purdy is not a bad.
I love
quarterback.
Brock Purdy, man.
I just said I don't dislike him. I don't think
You
he's
hit
that
a
good,
nerve.
though. That's fine. That's what this
Okay.
podcast is for.
Yeah.
I don't think, but at the same time, don't call me out for saying the Ravens are going to win a Super Bowl. I just said 5 minutes ago that I don't trust them.
Yeah.
They don't
Okay.
win the big game. The
They
only
don't.
win the Ravens have this year is the Buffalo Bills, which that win is aging better and better because the Bills are really good. But that's the only
Right.
win they have.
I
That's
got a
it.
hot take
Okay,
that is
alright.
kind of random. Hot take here though. If the Bills meet the Chiefs in the playoffs, the Chiefs are going to win. I don't care that they.
That's
that they
not.
already beat
That's
them.
not.
That is not a hot take, though.
Well, they already lost though. The Chiefs lost to them.
But in
It's
regular
no regular
The
season,
Bills
season.
always beat them, and they've like last
Mahomes
3 years.
is
in a
Oh,
row.
yeah, I
known,
guess you're
Corey. Mahomes is known to just kind of take it easy and then go.
The hot take is Buffalo might be for real this year.
Yeah.
I think they are for real.
They are for real, and
Pisses me off.
he is playing a different style of football. He's still doing some of the amazing Superman Josh Allen things, but he is playing like he's not trying to do too much, which he has in past years.
Yeah, he's more like being a field general quarterback, right?
Right. And they have a horrible rush off defense too, apparently.
And bad receivers.
I think they just have a bunch of like B receivers. I don't think they're
That's what I
necessarily
mean. But there's
bad.
no
Yeah.
like, it's
But
not
there's
like
no
he
edge, yeah.
has
Yeah.
Stroud level receivers or
Yeah.
even Brock Purdy, has, Debo
Yeah.
and what's his name?
But I like Sean McDermott. I like the Bills, dude. They could be a problem. And I the hot take is that they finally beat Kansas City this year
What's your take on Sean McDermott's what was his 9/11 comparison to the
Yeah, bad. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. I do understand the point that I think he was trying to make, but
There's an analogy in there.
You got to use a different analogy though, dude. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah,
That
people,
was-
you
that
can
was
Google that one if you want. But yeah,
That was
that
tough.
was bad news.
So
Anyway,
all right, let's move on from football. What else you got? How was everybody's Thanksgiving? Let's go. Let's start with Bill. How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was excellent. Well, my daughter was in South Carolina. Shout out to her. She got to spend some quality time with her grandma and her family on that side. So that's cool. I did the rounds. I hit a couple different spots. I ate a lot of turkey.
yeah, failed to come by here, but whatever. Cool.
I was close. I was
I
close.
was going to say, I think
Oh,
he
in
was
the
cited
area.
in
The
PSL.
day eluded me. Like I
I-
literally told 4 or 5 people, but not you, that I was coming to your house because I was not 100% sure. And then it was like
Yeah,
5 o'clock the next thing I know.
See, he just
No,
didn't want to lie to you, Corey. He respects you too much. Other people, he was like, sure, yeah, for sure.
There
I'll
was
be by."
a social media sighting of Bill DeLuca, and I was like, oh, he's in the same city I live in. That's
They're
cool.
what?
There was a social
What
media.
city is that again, Corey?
Port St. Lucie, the greatest city in Florida.
So some of
know-
our avid listeners might recall some previous
Corey, I'll tell you,
episodes.
I want to tell you, Corey, I didn't come because you didn't invite me to help you move. So
True
I'm a
that.
little offended, but I
know.
do publicly apologize. I'm sure it was fantastic.
It was good. Yeah. Anyway, go on. What else do you do?
That's it. I ate turkey and stuffing and called it a day.
That's
I didn't
cool.
eat very many sweets though, boys. You'd be proud of me.
did.
Tonight, on the other hand, I've pounded some Lucky Charms cereal bars.
Dude,
The cereal
I
bars,
may.
huh?
Ooh. Told my
I
daughter,
may-
"Hey, babe, make sure you get 2 boxes of those."
I may or may not have used to take those from convenience stores to feed myself when I had nowhere to live.
That's a full
And
meal
it was,
right there.
It was
Oh, yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
We all shoplifted for food. At least I know I did. Greg might have probably just
I'd get the
cooked
girthy
himself something,
candy bars. You know, and give you a full day
King
walking
size,
around.
baby, yeah. Gotta get
Capacity right there.
but none of these wafer-based candy bars. We need some substance. dude.
nuts,
Some substance.
yeah, they get
Peanuts,
the full
protein.
range.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
grab
hear
a
that.
Slim Jim for the back pocket. Get your proteins in.
That's when you just grab one and you just eat it while you're walking around the store. You know what I mean?
I bought this before I came in here.
I used to get so Xanax barred out and go into like Walmart's, and I'd have those sweatpants that have like the real tight, like elastic legs and waist, right? So they're not like loose; they're like real tight around the waist and around the ankles, the elastic,
Fill
and
them
big
puppies up.
baggy. And I would just, I mean, dude, fucking Danishes, croissants, like
like Santa
dude,
Claus.
all kinds of random stuff. And I would just walk out, and then like finally I got caught, and it wasn't probably even that long. And they're just like, what are you doing? You know, I mean, my legs are humongous. Werther's Originals, like just all kinds of stuff, dude.
Yeah, I'm
all
telling you
kinds
right
of
now.
non-food products. Yeah,
I'm gonna show my age with this one, but we had JNCO jeans were popular when I was in high school. You know,
Shout out to
especially
JNCO.
amongst the skateboarding crowd. And they
Shout
were
out to with the chain. Did you have the chain wallet like I did?
Course,
Yeah,
of course,
for sure.
But they had real deep back pockets.
Oh,
and they
yeah, they
also
did.
were extremely wide legged for those that don't know. So like the flared way out. But back in those days, you could go into the grocery store and cartons of cigarettes were out in the open.
Yes.
You could like pull
Yes.
one carton out at a time and the rest would drop. So we would stick whole cartons of cigs down our JNCO jeans and just walk right
Did you
out.
ever wear JNCOs, Bill?
Hell no.
I knew you would say that.
Yeah,
I hung out with dudes who wore JNCOs because they could steal all the good shit, though.
My fourth grade go-to wardrobe was JNCO jeans.
Mhm.
I forget what kind of shoes. I don't think I was wearing Air Force Ones back
Vans.
then. I don't
Vans.
remember.
I was a
kinda-
DC guy.
Can't
dude.
wear Air Force Ones
I don't
and
remember.
JNCOs.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
just
remember what it
wrong.
was. Some kind of whatever it was, but JNCO jeans with the chain wallet and a Michael
When
Jordan basketball.
When Greg just
That was my
that's a
go-to
wild
outfit.
combo, dude. You're
That
like
was my
fucking
go-to
Fred
outfit, yeah.
Durst or something.
Yeah.
Thug.
So when Greg was describing that, I swear I was just thinking Greg would have been my dog back in the day. We would have been.
Oh,
we would have been stealing. I would have been.
steal shit.
I would have been listening. I would have been wearing FUBU jersey.
I would have been right there with you guys. I
You
love
guys are
stealing
stealing
stuff.
shit from our t-shirts.
I'd be like, Greg, put this shit in them JNCOs, bro.
That might be a good future segment. Like, what would the
We'll
four
all
of us
wear.
have done? Or not only wear, but like, would we have all hung out with each other? I feel like we all would have hung out with Greg.
If
I don't
you
know if
had
Bill and I
money-
would have gotten along. I definitely know I wouldn't have hung out with Corey.
If you have money, I will hang out with you.
Fair enough.
Or
What was it?
the
You
plug.
wouldn't have.
Yeah,
I don't
will.
think you and I wouldn't have hung out
We
with
would've
Corey.
been
Bill,
best
I don't know
friends,
if you and I would have gotten along. I feel like we would have just
Sean, we would have hated each other.
we would have just
robbed
butted
each
heads.
other.
Although maybe not though, dude. Maybe I think it would have been one of those friendships where it would have been like we would have met and hit it off right away and just started hanging out all the time.
I'll be
and then
blunt.
yes, one of us would have started robbing the other one.
You
Yeah.
seriously remind me of like one of my best friends that I used to get in trouble with.
Yeah.
And we were best friends all the time, but every once in a while we just beat the shit out of each
Yeah,
other because
I had a-
someone would steal something off somebody.
I had a few friends like that too. Yeah.
Should make that
But then
happen.
like
Would
you
be
beat
friends
each
again,
other
too.
up, but then you're spending the night over their house the following
The same
night.
day, bro. Like you wouldn't even leave the house. Like,
Yeah. Just go
All
to
right,
each
get over
other's
there,
different room
motherfucker.
for a little while,
yeah.
cool down. Like, yo, you want to smoke a blunt? Yeah. all right, let's go.
Ambulance gets there, you're like, nah, I'm
Let's
good.
Let's go.
I would like you guys all the same as I do right now.
Very
It's
little.
not much.
I would have robbed you, Corey. At least I would have tried.
Yeah,
try.
I'd have been like, let
For
me get
sure.
like 50. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get you something real nice. No, just kidding.
I was always the guy that you gave the money to go get the stuff. Everybody was scared to get out of the car. I'm like, I'll go. And I've gotten arrested that way before, but I went every time. I don't care.
What about you, Greg? How was Thanksgiving?
Oh, Thanksgiving was awesome, man. I actually had like in a 10-day stretch, I had 8 days off, which was like beautiful. You know,
Damn,
so
nice.
I went and did a little vacation, which was when you guys all last saw me, and that was amazing. My girlfriend got an Airbnb for my birthday weekend, and it was just a super relaxing, super awesome time. Thanksgiving was great. We go to her.
Did you cook?
I did. So this year, so what we do, and I've actually got a little PSA to follow up with this, but what we do is we'll go to her family's house, and her family, whoever's hosting, she comes from a big family, so like whoever's hosting will make a dish, and then everybody brings a dish, right? So believe it or not, from all of my years in the culinary field, I had never made a sweet potato casserole.
Ooh.
I've of course messed around with sweet potatoes, but I've never done the traditional Thanksgiving casserole. So I did that, but I also did the tried and true mac and cheese along with it, just in case the sweet potato
Nice.
casserole did not turn out well. And they both turned out very well. Both were a hit. Yeah, and Thanksgiving was awesome. I think I gained 10 pounds last week though, so I got some work to do, but it was all very well worth it. Yeah, good time.
Nice.
And, but I do have a PSA to go along with that, not because I experienced it at her girlfriend's house, but because, or at my girlfriend's house, her family's house, but because I've gotten, I've had this conversation with multiple people actually this week. And so PSA out there, this is how you do Thanksgiving or any kind of gatherings, right? Corey, I know you and your lovely wife host Friendsgiving every year. And you guys always do it right from my experience. And you guys do make a lion's share of the food when you do it.
We do all of it.
I thought you were about to say doo-doo, damn it.
So, but yeah, I've
there.
had conversations with a few people, and where they're talking about like going over to the family gatherings or Friendsgivings or whatever, and it's like, people, if you're out there and you're hosting these events, and if you're gonna have more than 6 people in your home, you and your spouse included, you got to make enough food. Or you got to put it out there that people need to bring dishes. But one of the two things needs to happen, because I've talked to several people this week who showed up at places at their family's home. Their families are the ones that are treating them like this. They got like a 12-pound bird for 16 people. You know what I'm saying? They got 1 can of corn. First off, if you're serving canned corn at Thanksgiving, shame on you, okay? But 1 can of corn, they got like a box of instant taters, no dinner rolls. Like I just don't get it. Like, hey, look, I know times are tough. Inflation.
What halfway house was that?
That wasn't a halfway house, dude. That was like somebody's family, man. Like,
shit.
and it's like, I know times are tough, whatever. My first question is like, no offense, but were they poor? And he goes, no, they're not poor at all. That's just how they serve. And it's like, so you get like little morsels of food. It's like, bro, this is Thanksgiving.
It's like tapas, dude.
They're doing girl math.
Tapas Thanksgiving.
I don't want to leave anywhere I'm at for Thanksgiving and still be hungry. Okay. If I go on to a second locale, I want to eat because I'm fat, not because I'm still, craving food. Right. So yeah, dude, if you're out there, man, just heed these words of advice, man. Cook for enough people, have enough people, bring stuff, whatever the case may be. But this is the holidays, man. People are going to remember this. You need to put on a show if you're going to open up your home. Also, I will say, boys, I listened to last week's episode. And dude,
mediocre at best, right?
I mean, you guys, and how are you gonna hate on turkey? I
think it's overrated, dude.
Oh, God, it broke my heart to hear that. It broke my heart to hear it. I could. Bill was hating on pecan
Thank you, Janine.
pie, dude.
You guys were hating on
let's be
cranberry
honest.
sauce.
Bill also likes
I
to
love
hate on
cranberry
things
sauce.
just for the hell of it too. So
Well, yeah,
For
Bill.
we never know what's
Bill
real.
will also try and convince you that quinoa is good, and so there's
Correct.
that. But
If it's an argument, I will.
I want
Good for
my
you.
cranberry sauce straight up out the can. I want it shaped like a can.
Really?
That's the only way I want it. It
No,
has
I
to
like
be
the whole
Correct.
cranberry sauce.
tubular. Okay, that's the way. But yeah, cranberry sauce. Sean
that?
talking about dumping heavy cream just directly
Sean's,
on a
he's
pie.
That
out of
was
bounds.
wild.
What the?
That's
That was wild.
amazing.
Or
Janine,
not
you
even
need,
on the pie, in his Rice
Janine, go
Krispies.
listen to last week's podcast.
In his Rice Krispies, just substitute the milk and put heavy cream in. We have an obesity problem in this country, Sean, and you're doing nothing to perpetuate. I mean, this
No, I'm
is
doing
crazy.
Everything to perpetuate it, nothing to halt.
Yes, exactly. See, I'm fired up about this.
Guys,
Also, you
you
guys,
guys don't know what you're missing.
It is.
I was doing whippets.
Rice Krispies
I was
and heavy cream.
I was probably 12 years old. You guys brought
That's
that
why
up.
I said you'd be my
First time I
dog
did
back
it
in the
with
day,
that way.
Greg.
And here's the thing.
Little computer duster.
bro.
Because I would go to work with my dad because it was the only way I could spend time with the bum, R.I.P. But so he was a chef, and so they would have the actual like canisters of
Yes.
like we wouldn't do like straight up out of the can like at the grocery store. These would be the canisters. So we were doing
the one where you
legit
have to like
whippets.
put the
Yeah,
thing
you gotta
on
crack
top.
it
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fill a balloon and just go to town, dude. It was good times. Routed a lot of brain cells like
Well,
that.
you
So,
had a problem,
cheers.
obviously.
Guys, don't hate on the heavy cream. It's delicious. So to your point, I got to give a thorough and proper shout out to my cousin Tim and my cousin Maggie. They hosted Thanksgiving this year on my end, and that's exactly what they did. My cousin Maggie, my cousin, my actual cousin, blood cousin Tim, his wife Maggie, did one of those sign up genie websites, and everybody went on and signed up for what they were going to bring. And it's a phenomenal idea because then the host can focus on hosting. They're not worried about making too much food, right? There's enough people, and they put like the head count, and the head count was like it changed every time you logged on, or every time like Maggie went in to change the head count, it would send an email. Oh, we're up to 15 people. We're up to 20 people. We're down to 18. Up until like a few days before. I signed up for mashed potatoes. They were not instant, Greg. You'll be happy
Thank
to know
God.
that. I did buy them from a local mom and pop owned restaurant that I have here, but they're freshly made, just not by me. But they were freshly made. I have to just to specify that.
Skin on?
Skin in, yeah, skin, red skin mash, yeah.
Boy.
Little tiny chunks, here and there, but very good. But yeah, everybody signed up. The house was beautiful. They live in like so far out west, and I know a lot of our listeners, well, I guess a lot of them are local. It's out in the acreage, which is like western West Palm Beach, like 25 miles west of 95. Like it's so far out there. It's this really nice planned development, beautiful home, beautiful setup. It just was a wonderful time. And they had a pie tasting contest. So like there were like 7 different pies, a handful of people, my mom included, made certain pies and entered them in. And I was one of like 5 people that got to like taste all 7 of them, which I was very obliged to do. And it was wonderful. A milk bar pie won the contest. You ever heard of that?
Milk bar.
I've never heard of it either. It was phenomenal. It's like a gooey graham cracker, brown butter, like caramelized, just
Nice.
phenomenal
Nice.
cake. So wonderful Thanksgiving. Kids had a great time. My kids love turkey, Greg. I'll have you know, both the kids love turkey.
That's right.
They say it tastes like chicken. Cool.
I was down though with Bill's idea because I would literally
A steak.
I'd eat steak for every meal of the day if I could.
There we go.
Yeah, so I would be down for steaks on Thanksgiving.
Welcome to the club, Greg.
Corey, how'd Friendsgiving go?
That's good. Except we don't call it that because it's just Thanksgiving. But it was
does
really
sound
good.
kind of stupid, that word. Friendsgiving.
I'm not a fan of that word, but it was really good. As always, and like Greg said, like Gabby cooks literally everything except for the mac and cheese, which I do. In fact, every year at least a few people offer to bring something, and I tell them how violently they'll be shoved out the door if they do, because it's just Gabby's thing, man.
She gets insulted if you ask too. She gets insulted about it.
We let Kyle bring sodas. That's what you can bring.
Yeah,
soda.
yeah.
About all you should trust him with anyway. So
Was shocked that we had soda, but yeah, it was good though. The mac and cheese was I redeemed myself with the mac and cheese this year because last year sucked bad. I don't even know what I did, but this year was really good. The turkey was very good, and I'm not saying that I don't like turkey. I do like turkey a lot.
it's not my favorite.
For we made the point last week, but like for it to be the center of attention on Thanksgiving, it's a little overrated. But
well, you gotta make sure it's cooked right. You gotta have somebody that knows how to cook a turkey.
Janine, our producer, put she had a point in the thread a little while ago. What restaurant in America serves turkey?
Flanagan's.
Great point, Janine.
But do they year round though?
No, just for Thanksgiving.
Right, a lot of them
Good
do around
restaurant.
Thanksgiving. That was her point. Like none. Arby's, right?
Arby's.
Arby's.
My man.
That sandwich is kind of good, but
Oh man.
That's a good point. Good point, Janine.
But yeah.
I won't even broach the bar soap and loofah hygiene thing. We're not even going to
Let
broach
them know,
that.
Sean.
That was
Let the
off.
people know.
That was. I'm not even going to broach that. We'll save that for another time.
Yeah.
I expect a public apology from all of you, especially Janine. But anyways, moving on. You all settled into your house, Corey?
Yeah, man. And finally out of the old one, and dude, it's weird, and it's weird. I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to like. I love it, and it fits us a lot better, and we operate better in it. But I can't seem to like truly feel like it's home yet. I don't know why.
Well, I think that's like natural. You've been in the same
it?
house for yeah. How many years did you live in the other place?
Too many.
Essentially 7. Yeah.
Right. So you're in a new. Of course, it's going to feel a little weird for a while. It's just. I don't think you need to read into that too much. I think that's just how life goes when you make a big move too much. You know, it'll take a little while.
But it is nice, and I still miss Stuart, but it's just it's better. It's just better.
Good. Very good.
Yeah. No one on this podcast will come visit me though, so it's
Well, we don't miss you down here in Stewart. I'm just letting you know.
That's fine. I went to the gym in PSL for the first time.
Which one?
It's the Planet Fitness on Port St. Lucie
West.
Boulevard.
Oh, the one that's in the strip mall?
Yeah, next to the Wingstop.
Mid.
Yeah.
Or you're already too angry to live in Port St. Lucie, dude, because it's so cookie cutter up there, dude. You got to come back, dude.
Well, just so you guys, I'll leave it at this, and I just want you guys to rest assured. I had said for the past few days that I was going to attend a recovery group Sunday night out here in Port St. Lucie, and I did exactly what you would think I would do and absolutely bailed last minute. And I am just super happy about it that I have not changed that much since moving out here.
I would think it was to watch football.
It was the Eagles, and I had a final due, and I had some work to do, and I was just like, nope, not doing it, not going. That's it. I'm not going, just like the Grinch said. So,
way to take care of your recovery, Corey.
My recovery is in Martin County, Sean, and I think it's going to stay that way. But
Pretty sure the people at PSL are waiting for you to show up anyway. They said rents due.
They said rents too. All right, so let's shift gears only slightly because we're kind of our recovery kind of segment tonight is going to be somewhat of an extension of.
Wait, what, Janine, hop in here. Let's hear that story. I want to hear this story.
It's called Rock. It's called Rock Road.
Producer, here she comes.
She's coming.
Let's hear this story. She's Janine, our lovely producer.
It's called Rock Road, Gene.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's called Rock Road.
That's what it's called. Yeah, because it's on Rock Road.
Oh, well, I was 16 years old.
Ooh.
And my best friend Michelle and we've been friends for 40 years. We were 16. We were driving her mom's car back from Cocoa Beach. It was
This is
spring
how
break.
every good story starts.
Yeah. we were driving, and she decided to drive her mom's car, and she didn't have her driver's license on her. She left it at home, so she was driving
But
without a
she
license.
did have a few Four Locos in her hand.
No, this gets hilarious. So a cop pulls her over. She's going like 85 miles an hour on I-95, like through St. Lucie, like that underpass where it says "Welcome to Port St. Lousy." Anyway, so she's like driving underneath there. The cop pulls her over, asks for her license and registration. She doesn't have it because she left it at home. She's like, "I'm driving my mom's car. We're driving back from my dad's." Next thing I know, the cop says, "Ma'am, step out of the car," to her. And I don't think anything of it. I'm like, okay, I'm just messing around. I don't even think I had a cell phone at that age.
You're like,
So
I've seen cops before. It's all good.
yeah, I'm like, it's no big deal. Like, she's fine. All of a sudden, I hear her go, "Janine, Janine." And I look in the rearview mirror, and this cop is like coming towards the car. And he's like, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to arrest your friend. She has a warrant for her arrest out currently. Wow. And you can follow me to the Port St. Lucie jail in this vehicle." And I had no idea what was going on. And we started laughing. She's in handcuffs, and we started laughing. And the cop's like, "Why are you laughing?" And we're like, "We've never even had a detention. Now you're taking my best friend to jail." Like, we were cracking up. The cop must have been like, "What is going on?" We thought we were being pranked or punked. It turns out, you know that CR Chicks restaurant? CR Chicks, it's like barbecue. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
So she had written a check to them for like $5 that bounced. And if you write a bad check in Florida and you don't get that shit taken care of, it goes on your record. There's a warrant. Yeah. So we had to wait there. I had to wait at the Port St. Lucie jail for 4.5 hours while they cleared that little situation up. And they cleared her because she did go to court and pay it, but it wasn't showing in their system. So,
oh man.
$5 check to CR Chicks. Yeah, it was a story. But
what
anyway,
are you in here for? $5 check.
$5. I swear to God.
Check fraud.
That's all right. Stella out.
Stella out.
And no one writes checks for a long time, so we know that was not yesterday. I have a funny driving story while waiting.
I haven't done. I don't know. I just looked at my phone bill. I don't know. I'm sure I've done it since we've been together. But I'm sure I have. I know I have.
Yeah, someone check under the bed.
As a matter of fact, I know
someone
I have.
check under the bed. Yeah. There's Rice Krispies under there right now.
Bill just texted my wife if I've ever put heavy cream in my Rice Krispies.
We need confirmation.
Yeah, I'm sure. Shout out to her. It is her birthday today, my wife, and we went to dinner tonight. My brother-in-law, my wife's a twin. Most of you know that. Most people listening may or may not know that. She's got a twin brother that lives here.
When's his birthday? That's a joke. Go ahead.
Yes, I got the joke. Okay. So we went to dinner tonight, and we left it up to Kyle on where he wanted to go to dinner. Worse.
No way.
Worse.
Arby's.
Hold on.
Let's see if we can guess.
Hold on.
Let's see if we can guess. Everybody.
Janine, I'll give everybody 2 guesses. Go ahead, Bill.
All right.
It was an actual. Hold on. It's not fast food, and it's an actual sit-down restaurant. That's one for Janine, not
Carrabba's.
No.
Carrabba's. What's the other one? She said Applebee's.
Yeah.
Outback.
Nope.
Body Talk.
Body Talk. PSL favorite.
No.
That's one, Greg. You want your second one, or it's Body Talk?
I mean, I was pretty sure. Where do they live again?
You sent him $50 for his birthday when he said he was there, didn't you?
They live in an undisclosed Martin County location.
In the Martin County area. Okay.
No.
Chili's.
No Chili's, and not Costco pizza either.
Casa Tequila.
No.
Ooh,
you guys, I just want you to know most of everything you've named might be too high class from where we actually went. And it was a lovely meal.
Chili's is high class?
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying
is it barbecue?
Olive Garden.
No.
Southern Smoke.
No, that's a good place. I like Southern Smoke.
Me and you.
Cracker Barrel. He wanted to go to Cracker Barrel for the birthday.
I was there.
You wanted to go to Cracker Barrel.
No, this was not my birthday. I do too, kind of low key, Janine, and the kids love it because they like the store. But he wanted to go to Cracker Barrel, and we go, okay, cool. What time? He goes 5 o'clock. So we were at Cracker Barrel celebrating birthday dinner at 5 p.m. tonight. And if you're wondering, yes, you are correct. It was definitely in time for the early bird special, which my wife, Kyle, and his wife, Katie, all got something off the early bird special menu. I'm not even kidding you. That's where we went for dinner.
Get you a nice bowl of cottage cheese for like $1.65.
I will say, in their defenses, in Kyle's defense, they do have a 7-month-old child, and the baby's shout out to baby Hattie. The bedtime is like 7 to 7:30 p.m. So that's kind of why. But I was just like, oh my goodness. Like Catherine and I were laughing about it all week. Like, we're going to Cracker Barrel at 5 o'clock. And Katie, at one point towards the end, she goes, God, it's not that busy in here. I was like, yeah, Katie, because it was still light out when we came here. Like
3 in the afternoon.
the rest of the county hasn't even eaten dinner yet, but that's where we went. So shout out to Kyle and Katie. They're 33 years old. Not Kyle and Katie. Oh, shout out to Katie too, but shout out to my wife, Catherine, and her twin brother, Kyle. They are both a quarter of a century old today, which I like to remind them about.
What?
Quarter of a century?
A quarter of a century?
Or excuse me, a third of a century. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I mean, really, they're not, though. That'd be 99.9. Here comes an argument. Let's do this.
Yeah. We'll table that. Somebody mute him. All right. Shifting gears. An extension of last week was like navigating early sobriety in our, I was going to say in our relationships, that too, but not just navigating early sobriety during the holidays. I wanted to take it just a step further. We'll finish up this episode with just some talk like, how do we navigate in early sobriety, or even not, maybe even today, because I still deal with a lot of the same family members today that I did in early sobriety, when there's like a lot or a good amount of drinking at the family establishment or whatever establishment. Like I know, Corey, everyone that came to your house, like you guys weren't drinking, you guys weren't serving alcohol, but for me, my family likes to drink. None of them I don't really think are alcoholics at all, to be honest with you. I think a couple of them might be some hard drinkers. Sorry if they ever listen to this podcast, but you know who you are. But none of them are alcoholic. They all lead like good, decent, successful lives. But the booze gets flowing, which is totally fine. I have no issue with it. But there are certain like navigation points as a person in recovery that I have to keep in mind. So does anybody want to start?
I almost want to, just because I don't know. I don't think I have a whole lot on it. So I'm going to start. Yeah. First off, I rarely see my actual family for the holidays, but I've had a couple instances over the years where like whoever is drinking and just like you, Sean, like it doesn't bother me a bit these days. The only time it ever bothered me was that I remember was before this period of sobriety that I'm in now, when I literally did nothing to change as a person or anything, and essentially I still had an alcoholic mind, a drug addicted mind, you know. So like that's to me that's like a warning sign, you know, like if I'm still like getting upset, I guess, or getting disturbed by something like alcohol being consumed around me or whatever, you know, within reason, I guess, like that's a warning sign for myself that there might be more work to do. And luckily, like in this period of sobriety, I really haven't had that problem. And I pretty much go, as we know, I pretty much go wherever, you know, I need to, whether it's a bar to watch a game or whatever. Haven't been to many holidays where anybody's smoking crack around me. I would probably leave on that note.
Agreed.
But that has, well, yeah, I just wouldn't want to be around that at all. I also don't want to be around anybody that's like severely intoxicated. Again, not really so much for like danger of my sobriety necessarily, but like
right,
it is obnoxious. The most obnoxious, right? There was one thing in sobriety that I can remember. It wasn't even that bad, but I had flown up to New Jersey for the first time to go handle some court stuff. So I'm you know, I'm feeling okay because I'm there on like spiritual business, for lack of a better phrase. And my dad and I went somewhere where there was a bunch of people and they were drinking and stuff. And I remember, like, nobody was like falling down drunk, but like it was like obvious that some had consumed probably up to their limit. And talking with everybody and stuff again, it kind of got annoying. And like at no point did I ever entertain one or think about a drink, as it pertained to me, thank God. But I remember like the next day, like seeking out, the recovery community in the area because I really truly just wanted to be with like people like me that were on the other side of it. And I remember after I did that and I got to talk with some people, I felt really good about what I was there to do, which was already scary to begin with because I was handling like legal stuff, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, at least in early sobriety, so I think we talked about it last week, maybe a little bit. Like sometimes it might be best not to go, whatever. Like because before we like actually find a defense against the drink and the drug, like that stuff can weigh on us and probably will to some degree. But man, like the goal is to get embedded into like a foundation of recovery and just spirituality and everything to where the stuff becomes a non-issue because we can't avoid it. If I was gonna avoid triggers for the rest of my life, I certainly wouldn't have moved to Port St. Lucie. So
good point. Good point.
I think that's it.
I have a couple of thoughts, and then I want to hear from Bill and Greg. I think, this goes back to what we talked about last week too. If you are going on, let's say, an extended vacation for the holidays, or even for more than 24 hours, 48 hours, whatever, and anything more than that, look up, get a meeting list, go to some meetings, stay in touch with your support network and your foundation. If you're at the point in your sobriety where you're practicing daily prayer meditation, hopefully you are, make sure you do that, bring your books with you, kind of stay as much in that routine as you can, but definitely try to hit a meeting or two or three or whatever, a daily one, whatever you can do. I know that sometimes can pose some challenges with transportation and all that stuff, but let's be honest, like if you really wanted to and you really like felt you needed to and were taking your recovery seriously, you would figure out a way. I think if it's just for the day, like 2-3 hours over at a family member's house, I'm not saying everyone should be able to handle that because obviously some people in early sobriety can't, but for the most part, unless you're like, day 2, first week, second week, you should be able to like, because if you're really a true alcoholic like I am, right, that we all are, like the hopeless variety, I don't want to drink socially with my family members. I want to lock myself in the fucking broom closet and, to Corey's point, smoke some crack or really drink the way I want to. Because if I'm just having that's like torture to me, right? That's where my alcoholic mind goes. But so it's almost easier to stay a few 2, 3, 4 hours at a family member's house, not drink at all, and then go do what I really want to do when I get out of there, right? The something that I've navigated, and I don't even call it navigating anymore because it doesn't bother me, but it's something I'm aware of. I always find, and this is just an observation, and this is nothing against any of my family, anybody else's family. It's just simply an observation from a completely sober person to people that like to drink a little bit. Maybe it's just on the holidays they like to drink, maybe it's not. But there's always like one or two that always make sure that the booze is provided. Oh, I'll volunteer to get the 5 bottles of wine and the case of beer and all, like, and it's always in my family, it's always the same couple of people. I just always find that interesting, just something I observe. And then there's always 1 or 2 family members that have a few drinks. They don't get like super obnoxious, to your point, Corey. Maybe a few times they have, but I always, towards that like second, third of the night, like that, 2-3 hours in, I always get the conversation like, oh, Sean, we're so proud of you for what you're doing, and like we're just so proud of you for the work you're doing. It must take so much strength to not drink, and and just all this stuff and da da da. I get that conversation every single holiday or family event or gathering,
It's like,
and I
stop
just
making it weird.
I don't, but see, like to me, it's like I agree, but it's just like, would I prefer they didn't? Sure.
Yeah.
Does it like? But I just say, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Like I just play right along
Yeah.
because they're a little inebriated. So like literally within 2 or 3 minutes, like their attention gets diverted to something else and they're gone. But it's always this. It's always the same couple of family members. And in their defense, it's the same family members that I usually used to drink with, right? So they had firsthand knowledge of my antics, and their family members that I either got into trouble or took more advantage of them maybe than others. So like they had again firsthand knowledge, but I always get the hand on the shoulder and that kind of long drunk gaze. So proud, yeah, so proud of you, Sean. And it's just like, hey, thanks, man. Things are good. I'm doing good. And in their mind, it's like I'm brand newly sober still. You know what I mean? Even though it's been 13 and a half years, it's like to them, and that's fine because that's them. It doesn't matter. But I don't know. Those are just some observations. So what do you got for us, Bill?
I think that for me, if you're early in recovery, like for me, I think there's different types of people. So for me, I needed to submit or forego the family activities. I did not have the ability in myself to go around the family activities. I come from a family where everyone drinks, makes homemade wine, et cetera, et cetera. So my problem would be going to an event like that. Not that I wouldn't, like, that doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't appeal to have one or two drinks, but I would again lie to myself and say, well, I'm at my uncle's house. I can have a glass of wine, you know what I mean? Or whatever, because I wanted to go do heroin, you know what I mean? And that would be my excuse. Oh, well, then I was drunk and I got drunk. So
Right.
that's why I did that.
Right.
And I was just such a liar, and it's usually the fact is that we don't really know why we have the trivial excuses for the thing, the excuse that always pops in our head to do it again. Right. So I think I needed to be, the transportation thing. I used to get dropped off at the old hall in the morning because I knew I couldn't even hang out at the halfway house. I also like submitted to the fact that I was not to be there all day long, that if I did, I would eventually go for some person that also was in a horrible situation and be convinced again to walk in the store and buy a bunch of Stacker 2s behind the counter and eat those. And that's why I did heroin. Or, I just took a sip of this Four Loko or whatever it was. So I would literally just get dropped off at the old hall. And that was the best thing for me, man. I'd go down there and I would go to meetings all day long. And then I'd find a ride home. And really what happened from that is I met like a ton of people in recovery, on the fence in recovery. People were just showing up there. And I got to know a lot of people in the community pretty quickly, but it also shielded me from the event. So I always tell people who are super new, like if you haven't had that transformation, that transformative conversation with God where you really turn the corner, you probably should forego those kind of activities, especially if they're out of state or something like that. Because if you skip one, you might get 40 more, if you go to one, you might fucking die. So, what do you want to do?
And your family probably needs a break that first and second one anyways. So.
I wasn't invited, so it was an easy fucking choice for me, right? Like they're calling the police if I showed up. So yeah. Like they literally didn't want me to call, I don't think, the first holidays. So I'm grateful for it though. I'm grateful for that because it forced me to become a man. Like before I knew what I was really doing, like it forced me to like go on that trek on my own instead of looking for the quintessential pocket to hold on to or whatever it was that I always had to have like some theoretical life raft that really wasn't a life raft,
Right.
And, today as a man, like you understand, like no one's coming to save you. Like you wake up in the morning, you're responsible for your own, you're responsible for yourself, you're responsible for your kids today. You know what I mean? And, it's between you and God. So like I said, until you've had that conversation with God and really change your heart, like I would stay the majority of my time around people in recovery and even ones that are serious in recovery, So yeah, I mean that saved my life in retrospect. It really did. And I look back on things. In between year 1 and 2, I went to my cousin's wedding, and by the end of the wedding, I was behind the bar, essentially handing people their drinks and this and that, and conversating. And I wasn't thinking, and I don't recommend this to people, but I wasn't thinking about drinking. I wasn't thinking about not drinking. No one was having a conversation with me about that. About people there who didn't know me probably thought I was drunk, because I was drunk on spirit of myself, of conversation and this and that, and having a good time. I remember being out of town in Punta Cana at like this foam party, and everyone there is shit faced. They're trying to hand me a bottle of liquor, and I'm like, I don't drink. And this is after I'm talking to these people for like 20 minutes, and they're like, no way, like, dude, you've got to be fucking hammered. You know what I mean? And it's just like I'm just being me. I'm just having fun. So my point is, like, but that took a hell of a lot of work to get to be like even eligible to put myself in a situation like that. Like, to another point is, I'm not hiding from alcohol or people that are getting drunk. I mean, I'm gonna go to Steeler game, I'm gonna go here, whatever. You're gonna run into it. You know what I mean? Regardless, and where your heart's at will be determined at that time. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff. I too have bartended in sobriety. It's kind of fun.
It's really funny. It's like,
Take us home, Greg.
Yeah, I like what you guys have said, and certainly, I know I missed out on a little bit of the convo from last week, but yeah, if you're in early sobriety, like Bill was talking about, man, probably not the best place for you to be, at a place where the alcohol's flowing, even if it is with your family. If you are going to choose to be in that, then I would certainly, hopefully by that point in your recovery, you've developed some network of people that are also in recovery. Maybe you have a mentor, maybe you got just some close friends, or whatever the case may be. But I would let them know where you're going, and I would certainly tell on yourself to your family members, or at least a couple of them, and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is the way my life is now, and I'd appreciate if I had some help in that. Like, not saying to put them out by any means, you're being invited back into their home, but these are riskier decisions that we can make. Because like Bill said, I'll any kind of trivial excuse, and I love that, because it literally was that for me. Some of our recovery literature talks about, it's the adage of the insane person that keeps going back and touching the hot stove over and over again, expecting a different result every time. But the literature talks about, like, we won't be able to draw into our consciousness with any kind of sufficient force, like how crazy and insane and horrible and humiliating all of our actions were. So whether that be from a year ago, a month ago, a week ago, whatever the case may be, people of our level, the real alcoholics and the real drug addicts, man, we can't experience that. We can't bring that all back, all that pain and suffering back the way a lot of people can. We don't have willpower when it comes to drugs and alcohol. We just don't. So
Right.
now, thankfully, like we've talked about a lot on the podcast, like the obsession to drink and get high has been removed from me due to the work I've done in recovery, right? And again, if you've got to ask yourself that question and ask it again and think about it, then odds are it probably hasn't happened for you yet. Maybe it has. I don't know. That's a question you got to get real and honest with yourself about.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still feeling that feeling in your gut, that little bit of obsession, that little bit of twinkle, whatever it is, when you get around that stuff, then take a good, long, hard look at yourself. And also, for me, what was important anyways, like speaking for myself, is I had to remind myself a lot of times, like early on in sobriety, and even after a year or two, this is my life now. This is what I'm doing now. This is the road that I'm on, the path that I'm on, and whatever it is, like, I won't stray from that. What I have to worry about nowadays is, because my family drinks. There are a couple members of my family that may be questionable. We all know this is a genetic disease, right? Or at least a lot of the genetic markers predispose us to what we are. You know, they might be, they might not be, you know, and it's hard to tell, but it's for them to tell. And that's something that I've had to really work on for myself, especially in those first few years. I had a tendency to get preachy just because I'm amped up. I'm feeling good for the first time in a long time, and I feel good. And then I get around those people, and like Sean was saying, they're, you know, we're so proud of you, and you know, yada yada yada. And while I'm always very quick to try and not take credit for any of that, because it truly isn't me that's doing it. Me on my own did nothing but ruin my life before this. But you know, when you're in those first couple of years, you know, it feels good to be back included in the family again, and then, you know, kind of giving you that praise and stuff like that. And I just got to check myself. Like, I didn't want to get preached to, so nobody else certainly wants to get preached to. All I am is I'm somebody that God has come along and removed that obsession, like I've talked about, and help me live a better life. And the best thing I can hope for is to be that vessel, you know. So if somebody comes to me and wants to talk to me about it, wants to open up, wants my help, whatever the case may be, that's what I'm there for. But that is it. And yeah, and it is kind of crazy, like, again, going to my girlfriend's house on Thanksgiving and seeing 6 bottles of wine on the counter opened, and noticing the dumb little things like, okay, there's not a single one of those bottles that's empty.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild to me. There's so many people here, and everybody
They just pour like a little bit in their glass, just a little bit.
What are you guys doing? Like, that's never occurred to me once in my life. Right? Exactly. So, I'll leave you with that.
This is one of my favorite quotes from our literature. We meet these conditions every day. An alcoholic who cannot meet them still has an alcoholic mind. There is something the matter with his spiritual status. At first glance, that can sound like almost a little harsh. Like, what are you saying? There's something wrong with my spirit. But really what it just means is, if there are certain situations you don't feel like you're ready to go into yet in your sobriety, early sobriety, whatever it is, don't go. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. It just means that there's more work to be done. There's more spiritual work to be done, and get to work. And it's one of my favorite lines. So
yeah,
that's it, guys. That's a show. Any parting thoughts? Anybody want to say one last thing? Any burning desires?
What's that?
Corey?
I said it first.
Shout out to our listeners.
You want to hurt one of the people on the Trudge Report.
Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here if anyone wants to talk about our recovery or about recovery and our experience, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction or have questions. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Miss Janine did pose a good question in our group chat here that I think we should address that next week, because it's a very good question and very good topic. We'll save that for next week or a future episode. Thank you again to Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We shall see you next week.